Okay, so I'm going to ask you some questions about the overpopulation in China. Why do you think China is overpopulated right now?
I would think it was basically where they're at now as far as the population's already great, and when you have a certain amount of people reproducing, then it's going to be even more
Right.
than that.
Sure. So what do you think China's doing to combat for the overpopulation?
I mean, they have the whole one-child policy, and I guess the taxing of.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know if anything else.
That's what they're doing besides one child. Yeah, that's true. I don't think they're doing much else. So you talked about the one-child policy. What exactly is that? What does that mean?
Guess it would be the whole you're only allowed to have one child.
Right. Very good. Yes.
And I mean, I guess it's better than the whole thing of the. Of the, I guess, the more traditional style. If it's a boy, then they keep the boy, and if it's a girl, then they would kill or abort the girl.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the one child, I guess, would be better unless it was forced. Abortion was forced on that.
Sure. Yeah. So what do you think would be a better solution than doing abortions or one-child policy?
Maybe would be the whole thing of maybe the country having programs where people could come and get the tube side if that was the was a possibility, and actually doing and helping either fund that or all the way or partially. Something like that, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So do you think this affects us here in the United States at all?
I think it does. I don't know if we can feel it directly, but the more people on the earth, the more resources they use, which would, in the long run, affect us here in the States.
It's true. Very good. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to ask you some questions about the overpopulation in China. Why do you think China is overpopulated?
Because there are millions of people there, and all the business and work are all congested into a few cities instead of spread across.
Right. Why? So, what do you think China's doing to combat the overpopulation? What do you think they're doing?
Well, there's the one-child thing they do. You only have one kid, or else you get taxed out a lot. You get taxed a lot.
You get taxed a lot. Yeah, for having more. So you talked about the one-child policy. What is that exactly?
You can only have one kid, or you just can only have one kid.
You can only have one kid. That's it. So do you think that's effective at all? Do you think that's a good idea?
That's a terrible idea.
Yeah, that's right. Idea. No, it is. It's the worst. Yeah. Why?
Why? What's the point in having a kid if you can't have a family?
It's true.
Yeah, but I think that's just worth it.
That's right. You're right. So, what would you think would be the answer for the overpopulation in China?
I think that they should feed into their own country.
Yeah.
And feed into their own country and teach them technical skills and agricultural skills.
Yeah.
And so that they can spread out of those cities and they don't depend on what was built in them. They can. More independent.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. It's great. It's a good idea. Do you think this affects us here in the United States, though?
I do believe it affects us because we ship a lot of our business over there, and if they fed more into themselves, they could focus more on the agriculture and their land versus just punching into factories to get income.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, those are the words I'm looking for.
No, that's good. That was good. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
De nada.
Well, this is gives me some questions about the population growth in China. So, why do you think that China is overpopulated?
I really want to give a snarky response and just say because they have too many people.
Sure.
For the land ratio, I don't know why they have so many people in all of that. I don't know.
It's okay. What do you think that they are doing? Do you think that they're trying to do anything to make it to where it's not overpopulated or trying to help the situation in any way?
Well, they do have the whole policy of only being able to have one kid.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I think that's probably what they're trying to do.
Sure. Yep. Exactly. So you just expressed that you knew what the one-child policy is, and so what do you think that's like helping the situation and being able to do that, and the ratios and how it's going to affect, there's going to be a lot of older generation and less of the younger generation to take care of the older generation. Do you think that they're going to do anything?
I have no idea what they're going to do. I don't think the one-child policy is a good idea, just generally speaking.
Sure.
It sounds like torture.
Yeah.
But as far as what they're going to do regarding having an uneven playing field with younger versus older generation, well, I'm not China leadership, so I have no clue what they're going to do. It sounds like a horrible problem, though.
Yeah, definitely. So that's what we're trying to figure out.
And so I'm glad I'm not China leadership, and I don't have to solve that problem.
Yes.
I'm guessing who knows what they're going to do. In all honesty, they're going to figure out some way to farm their older people out or find other scenarios that might not be as pleasant. I have no idea what they're going to do, but it's a problem, and they need to figure out a solution and fast.
They do. It's expanding significantly.
It's got to be happening soon. And I know, too, like they're having, there's a higher percentage of boys in the children being born right now than there are girls, which is fascinating. But I mean, that even makes an even stranger playing field for the generation that's to come. Yeah. And growing up right now.
Yeah, so, and that's cultural too, like having the boys versus the girls. So how do you, combat with?
Yes. I've also heard studies are done that show that countries where nutrition is poor are more likely to have a higher rate of boys than girls. And it's the way God designed our bodies to respond to malnutrition, so that the next generation can be more productive in creating more resources and food for the future, which I have no idea where I heard that study or its validity. So I can't speak to that, but I know I've heard it.
Right.
And so maybe some of it, too, is that, that could be part of the effect.
Sure.
Is if they are, which I know there's some people that are very, very rich in China, and I know there's some people that are very, very, very poor.
Sure.
There's just extreme polar.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's affecting it, but
sure, definitely.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks, Erin. Yeah. Oh, not really. All right. So I'm going to ask you some questions about overpopulation in China. Why do you think China is overpopulated?
Because everyone's flocking to one place because it's the city and everybody wants to be there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a lot of industrial things are happening there, and yeah, that's true. So with everyone being there, so all the resources are maybe kind of being used. What do you think that they are doing to help that?
Aborting babies.
Yeah.
One-child policy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The one-child policy. Yeah. That is one effect of the one-child policy, or people are finding out the genders beforehand, and right. So you talked about the one-child policy. Like, what exactly is that?
You can only have one kid, and if you don't have one kid, they're going to tax you a lot more, so you're just going to be poor anyways.
Right, sure. So
you just want to leave.
Yeah, and no one wants that. So what do you think would help the situation in, abortions and in creating more taxes on people? Like, what do you think should be done about that?
I think they should tell just people to move, just leave the area and disperse from the city.
Yeah,
that would be better.
It's a great idea.
Instead of just killing kids.
Sure.
Or taxing. Or
taxing too much, yeah. And do you think that it affects us here in the U.S. at all?
Yeah, because instead of staying where they are, they'd want to come to the U.S. and have kids here instead of getting taxed more.
Right. And so we're getting the effects of the immigration here and culture and differences like that. Well, cool. All right, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you some questions about population growth in China and the overpopulation. Why do you think China is overpopulated?
Well, I think a lot of it goes down to their density. Like, their country is obviously pretty big. They have a lot of, square mileage and whatever. Sure. But I think that also they have always had more people than they had space. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a lot of their problem.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think they're doing anything to combat that, to help the situation?
They obviously have the one-child policy, which is kind of crazy, but but they have a one-child policy. Other than that, I don't know that they're doing much.
Yeah, it's true. Like, so you talked about the one-child policy. What does that entail? Like, what is that?
So basically, what happens is between a man and a woman, they can only have one child per family. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it's kind of like, it's more of a social law than it is anything. And if you have more than one, you're kind of exiled. Yeah. Not really exiled, but like, you have to pay more and more in taxes, which makes your family poorer. Right. And then you basically, you go from the tip top of the food chain all the way down to the bottom just for keeping a child. Right.
And so what do you think would help? Was like there anything else besides the one-child policy you think that could help with the overpopulation?
I mean, obviously education, like sexual education, things like that would be important. Yeah. But really and truly, I don't know that there is anything that could help the situation.
And do you think it affects us here in the U.S. or in other countries?
I mean, most definitely, because the people in China, the babies that are put into orphanages and things there, they're being adopted into the U.S. Right. So not only are we taking on our own population growth, but we're also growing from other nations that don't want the people in that population.
You're right. So. Yeah, getting immigrants and things like that. Well, cool.